All right. So we are going to talk about karma. We're going to talk about reincarnation. We're going to talk about astrology, of course. And I'm going to present some information to you today that I hope will start a journey that you're going to go on over this week as you go through the sessions with all of the beautiful souls we've got going on and presenting here today. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you so much for your energy, your time. I know it takes a lot to show up for these things. So I just thank you. Big questions that come through, you're welcome to post them in the chat as we go, but I will hold a little bit of space for questions at the end as well. So I won't be taking as many questions while we're going through the actual talk, but you're welcome to pop them in there or, hold them off for the last 10 minutes and then maybe prompt them in there. Okay. So let's get going. If you guys have worked with me before, I love slides. I'm a slides girl. So we're going to be using slides in and out today to share with you guys all the things I want to present to you today in this juicy conversation. So our conversation today, like I said, is what is karma? And we're going to be going into discovering karmic lessons through many different facets. And astrology is just one of those beautiful ways we're going to look at things today. And I'm going to kind of weave a story of everything that's been presented to me over the last many, many years and how all the links are sort of coming together to create this magic. All right. So again, welcome to the It's Karmic Virtual Astrology Summit. And because it is the first day, I'll give you guys just a little run through of how the week's going to go. Each day is going to be a live session where you're going to get the, beauty of being in the energy of the actual teacher. So for me, it'll just be me today, but every other day I'm going to have a beautiful presenter sharing their magic that they've discovered in my It's Karmic certifications with me, studying astrology, past lives, all this information. So each day you're going to get a different lesson and each day you're going to get the replay as well. And so you're going to have 7 days to watch those replays. Just make sure that you get all the content in, ask all your questions, do what you got to do with it, and then, take it into your life and apply it and learn with it and grow with it in whatever way feels really, really good to you. Okay. Are we ready? Let me make sure the chat is open here, guys, just so I can see if you guys do want to be in there. I do love seeing the engagement in the chat. So feel free, share thoughts, ideas, all those good things. And like I said, questions, try and hold on to them to the end. If you have them, write them down, or you can throw them in the chat so you remember them. Okay. All right. Okay. And we're ready to dive in. So what is karma? This was the topic I wanted to discuss because I feel like this word gets thrown around a lot. This word gets thrown around in many different contexts, even to the point where on TikTok or Instagram, I'll have people come in my comments, my comments, I'll have trolls come in there and be like, karma is not what you're talking about. Karma is just cause and effect. It's absolutely not anything to do with reincarnation. Or I've even had people accuse me of cultural appropriation because karma is an Indian, theory in one vein, but every culture has had theories and beliefs in reincarnation, and karma is the word that's sort of easiest that society has used for now thousands of years. So I wanted to present to you guys this new conversation around what is karma and why is it so important and how can we use it to actually literally change our lives through astrology, and not just astrology. There's so much more to this today that we're going to weave in. So we're going to just talk about this whole topic, and I hope I'm going to blow your mind. I really hope so. Okay. So what I want to preface today with is nothing I say today is finite. Okay. I love to say to my students and my people, all I know is I know nothing. So all we know is we know nothing. And when we're diving into this work, I can read charts and see themes that explain a lot of things that you as a soul can't explain about your life. I can explain away a million things that you're like, I felt like that my whole life. Absolutely. We can do past life regressions and people have memories. And we're going to talk about children's past life regressions and them remembering things that like, there's no basis in reality for them to know, but they know it. But at the end of the day, we're not going to know anything till we pass from this mortal body and go into the beyond. And even then, we don't know what happens, right? So everything I say today is theory, is what I've discovered, what I've learned, but at the end of the day, we truly know nothing. And so this is just a deep exploration of possibilities and something I know is healing and something I know is potent. But again, I hope you remain a student and a questioner along your journey, whatever that is, and always, come back to, we actually don't really know anything at the end of the day because there's no finite answers ever. Okay. So just remember, all we know is we know nothing as we go on today. My goal today is to help you open your mind to a new way of thinking and seeing your life. That's really my main goal here. Okay. I want you to see your life as an opportunity to grow and expand. I really want to help anybody in here release any victimhood, any victim mentality, and understand that you chose this. And as hard as that can be sometimes, like we chose our path. And I'm going to show you some ways we can kind of tap into how we chose that path. Okay. And I really want to help you find a little bit of peace and ease through the knowledge that you're exactly where and who you are meant to be. It's all unfolding perfectly. And I know it doesn't look the way you thought it would. It never does. But can you trust that you're on the right path? Because when I look into someone's birth chart, if I was to read any of your birth charts, I would know immediately you were on the right path because it's right there. Okay. So I want you to come out of this today and out of this whole week, knowing like you're exactly where you're meant to be. You're good. You're safe. Okay. And you are perfectly in alignment. And even in your alignment, you're going to continue to tweak and change and grow and heal. Okay. So this is a place of expansion, of discovery, of play. All right. Really, really coming into a sense of play. All right, so let's talk about karma reincarnation versus karma cause and effect. All right, and we're going to talk about the Hindu and Buddhist traditions for a second after this, but I want you guys to understand that when people say like, oh, they got their karma, oh, that's karma. People are talking about cause and effect, right? They're not talking about reincarnation, though the two have a bit of a crossover. The natural law of cause and effect is a different karma. So when people are like, they got what they deserve, they're actually saying, hey, that's the law of cause and effect, right? Every action you take has a ripple. It's the butterfly effect. Every decision you make will have an outcome, right? Every way you step will ripple through your life in a new way. And we're even going to talk about like dimensions later today, but the idea that if there was many versions of you, and it's entirely possible that there is because all we know is nothing, there is a version for every choice you made, right? And imagine that like split off of how many versions there would be of you for every choice you've made. And so I want you guys to understand, when people are saying, like, oh, you're going to get your karma, or like karma will get them, karma's a bitch, you're talking about cause and effect, okay, not reincarnation. And reincarnation, I really want to release the idea today that reincarnation or karma is a punishment. And we'll talk about that later because it's more about the growth process. And so cause and effect, again, is not a punishment either. It's just natural law that when you make a choice, it will ripple through your life. So the more conscious we can be, the more we can process and heal and do our work, the more the choices we make will hopefully be in alignment with who we are, and linking that all into where we're heading. Hopefully that's in alignment with your soul blueprint or your birth chart, and and more than just your birth chart, but your progress charts, everything. So though cause and effect can feel relatable to reincarnation, and the idea that what you did in a past life has a ripple effect into this life, we're going to kind of expand past the idea that it is some sort of punishment. Okay. We're going to leave that and we'll talk more about that in this whole conversation. So leaving the law of cause and effect behind for a minute and knowing that when people say karma's a bitch, they're actually saying cause and effect is a bitch. Like your actions do create a ripple. That's the bitch. Okay. All right. So talking about what other cultures say about past lives. And like I mentioned, every single culture minus Christianity basically has beliefs in reincarnation. Christianity, as far as I understand, it is not acceptable to believe in that because it doesn't align with the Christian belief system of just heaven and hell. And it doesn't make sense with their belief systems. And like we know nothing, but that's one of the only traditions that doesn't value the belief that we have reincarnated. Almost every, civilization we can look back on had beliefs that we come back, or, we in some way come back into this life to do other things. So particularly when we think about karma, we go to Indian traditions, typically, right? They're one of the biggest believers in this beautiful view of reincarnation. I'm even reading a book right now that's really beautiful. It's called something along the lines of Children in Past Lives and How to Heal Through That. It's by Carol Bowman. If you guys want to read it, it's absolutely mind-bending. And she speaks of these past life, well, they were actually psychologists that went to India, the one particularly, and he studied thousands of cases of children remembering their past lives down to, like, he was a scientist, guys. So he would study to the point of he had to have infinite proof that this child could have never had any memories from this life. And these children knew the people in their village. They'd never been to those villages before. They knew what their old houses looked like. They knew the construction and reconstruction that had happened on the houses since they died. They knew everything, right? And so it's a really big belief in India, particularly. And now why that is, I don't know. There is one theory in astrology that India is under the line of Cancer in the sky. And Cancer is, our root systems, our ancestry. It is our past lives. It is like what I call like the roots of your tree. So there's theories in my mind around, okay, maybe India being so linked to the sign of Cancer that they're just tapped into like that karmic magic, right? So we'll never know, but that is where the most, especially current beliefs in reincarnation still lie. And so really a lot of cultures look there for their information, right? Because the people actually care about it there. They actually are still thinking about it there. And so in, these cultures, the belief around reincarnation is more about a liberation from the karmic wheel. And we'll talk about that. So in Hindu and Buddhist traditions, the concept is of action, work, and deed, and it has consequences, right? Like, again, this is cause and effect. Once again, that your actions have consequences as you reincarnate. And then there is many theories within, because India is huge, so many different belief systems in there. Some of them believe that it's just karma, cause and effect. And then some of them believe in, reincarnation. It's really one of the only places we have to look still for more information on this beautiful topic. But they often call karma, really cause and effect. And then when you go deeper into certain Indian traditions, they'll start talking about reincarnation. So we kind of want to follow those threads, right? And it's so varied because, if you know anything about India, how many provinces are there? It's like 90 or something. Like, it's just wild up in there with the different belief systems that go in this one place. So just knowing that when we're talking, again, we have cause and effect, and then we have the split of reincarnation. So I found this beautiful little script from the Upanishads, and I thought it spoke well to the idea that you reap what you sow. Okay. So, and here they say that the person consists of desires, and in his desires, so is his will, and in his will, so is his deed, and whatever the deed he does, that he will reap. Now, we have to understand that in the Buddhist and Hindu tradition, they believe that, again, we're trying to liberate from a karmic wheel. I don't personally believe this, but this is one theory that I want to present to you guys because take what you will, right? I'm not right about anything here, but take what you will in the fact that they believe, that the karmic wheel is suffering and desire. And the whole point is to liberate yourself from your suffering and your desire, to purify yourself, to release yourself, to truly expand and raise your consciousness so that you can get out of the loop. That's like the whole theory there. And I think it's a beautiful one. I'm just not sure. I'm just not 100% sure, right? I haven't been up there recently, so I'm not 100% sure if there's a karmic wheel we get stuck in. Could be. But the idea is that we're sort of releasing our desire, and that's not personally what I think we're here to do, but we totally could be. Okay. So just knowing that like there are so many different theories, and the one I'm going to present to you today is that we're actually just trying to raise our consciousness, and we're just trying to do our big lessons here and our big work here, whatever that is. And we have keys and maps that I'm going to show you today as to like how. Okay. So the question is, do we choose our path pre-birth? Okay, like this one has been presented to me so many times. I've had so many clients, students, people ask me, like, do you think we pick our path pre-birth, right? And then we come into the question of fate and free will. And that's a hairy question for a lot of people, because if we don't have free will, then what's the point? If everything's destined, right? And if everything is fated, then like, I guess we'll just not make any decisions. But I wanted to present to you guys the fact that our birth charts present an interesting map of our souls, okay? They can kind of show you there's this divide between free will and fate, I think. We have free will to make our choices, but based on our birth chart, there seems to be a map that we are going on. Now, when you follow a map, everyone's going to follow that map in a different way. We're going to take different pit stops. We're going to get off at different places. We're going to go to the bathroom over here. Susan, not everyone's going to go to the bathroom at the same place on that map. Something I find beautiful, stop at, is going to be different than you find beautiful and stop at. So it's kind of like that soul map is there. Your path is there, but what you do along the way, where you get stuck, where you stop, where you take a nap on that map is going to look very different for everyone, even based on, your map, which I'm going to call your birth chart. So the questions I present to you, and there's going to be a lot of questions today. I want you to leave thinking. Okay. So what came first, like the chicken or the egg syndrome, right? Like the birth chart or the traumatic experiences and tendencies? Was it that you had traumatic experiences and tendencies from past lives that made your birth chart? Or was your birth chart pre-designed to create those experiences so you could work through them? Again, I don't know. Thoughts to think about. Do those what I'm going to call karmic scars, when we get to that little section, do they present you with, or do they come from previous lives? And do the stars actually influence us to the point where we don't have free will, right? It's like a really fine line we walk here. And can we change our fate, or are we doomed to repeat the same patterns? And if we are, then why are we here, right? If we're doomed to if we're stuck, then what's the whole point? We must be able to liberate, right? Or there be no growth here on earth. So through my studies of many, 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 many charts and many, many books and all the things, it seems that we predetermine the types of experiences we want to go through, whether that's hard, beautiful, or otherwise, in order to learn soul lessons. But within, like I said, that map, you can go any way. You can make any choice. You could go high and be like, yeah, I want to learn this for my highest and greatest love. Or, we can get stuck and be like, that really sucked. Humanness came in, my human emotion came in, and now I'm going to, fall into a hole. And there's so much choice within the predetermination of the experiences, yet not exactly what's going to happen. So when I read a chart, and for my students that have taken, it's karmic with me, you guys can see that the signatures that are often related to the things people can't explain about their lives. Or like, I felt this my whole life, but like, I couldn't put words to it, or there was no reason for me to feel it. And it's right there. Or the fears that we have no tangible explanation in this incarnation are like right there, right? Like, I have no reason to have certain fears that I have, but they're there. And so why, right? Why? And repeated themes through this life that are, interwoven into the birth chart and the transits. It's like, it's right there for us. And is this like a path that we walk? And even taking this into, that book I'm reading right now about these children, and they have these like spontaneous past life memories, and each one liberates and heals a fear within them. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, because it is just like, it's so beautiful. But let's talk about karmic scars first. So when I did my yoga teacher training, what feels like a million years ago, one word and term really sat with me. Okay. So this was back in like 2016, 2017. And the word was samskara. And what my teacher described these as, and I'll read you like a quote of like what they're meant to be, is in the yogic tradition, they are subtle impressions of our past actions. Okay. So as long as we are alive, we continuously perform actions, and not all of them contribute to the formation of samskara. So like, not everything creates these scars. This is in this current reality. But the actions that we perform with full awareness change us and heal us, or we can do things that can leave impressions like on our soul. And so what I kind of see as I've studied this since this moment I found this word was that we carry over what I'm going to call karmic scars. And it's almost like these soul, I see them as like these like actual kind of like foggy scars on our souls that we can heal, but they're from past impressions that have been put upon us, okay, through our experiences, through our loss, through our trauma, through good experiences. I'm sure there's, I wouldn't call them scars from the good experiences, but there's like these karmic samskaras that are leaving these impressions from your past life on, your energy that can be healed. So when I was talking about these children, these many people were doing these past life regressions on, they'd have these phobias. Like the one little girl in the book had like this epic fear of fire, just absolutely terrified of fire. And so when her mother regressed her into like, where's that fear coming from? She had this whole past life recall of being locked in a house fire and her whole family being outside. They couldn't get to her. And she remembered dying and like seeing them from above and being angry with them that they didn't save her. And when she went through this regression, it actually completely healed the fear of fire. And so the writer of the book actually like this started her work, her son and her daughter started her work of, there seems to be some sort of association with healing when we figure out what happened, or like we see the scars from the past incarnation. There seems to be this spontaneous healing that happens right down to physical healing. So when we're looking at these, I want you guys to think of them as like karmic scars, and scars can be healed, right? Scar tissue can be healed. So we have all this magic to work with. Okay. So as we're liberating ourselves through the karmic wheel, if that's the truth, I whether we're doing that or not, I see us more in an earth school here, right? We're learning. And so if you guys have read, has anyone read, drop in the comments if you've read Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. That book is just, okay, I got some nods. Yeah. So I think of this, right? He describes, so he did so many regressions on thousands of people, right? And they all go to the same place where they're like up there in the space between, and they're choosing their life. Okay. On my list. Yes. Read it. Everyone read it. They're choosing their life, right? Like we are up there and choosing the experiences we're going to have, the hardships, the good, the yumminess, the pain. And this is more what I see it, right? And they, in the book, it really is described that they go back and they review themselves, right? The idea of a vengeful God up there that's going to, you're going to meet that God and they're going to judge you for your actions. The judge is you. right? It seems to be on everything I've studied, you're the judge of your actions here on earth. And so when we look at this, we really do understand that maybe there is no wheel that we're getting off. Maybe we're literally just trying to learn and evolve and grow and expand. And where do we grow? Like in hardship, in, the biggest growth moments of our life are often the hardest moments of our life. And so this is kind of what I'm seeing through all of my studies and the astrology, all of it, is that we're really in a big earth school here. We are. And so if we are, then we can find the lessons, right? We can locate our lessons so we're not flailing. How many people have said to you, I wish there was like a map for life, right? Or they've said it about their kids. I wish there was a map for my kids. Like, there actually is. We just need to learn to work with it. And I feel like this knowledge has been so lost and so forgotten. So, okay. Yes. So these books really show us that there is something to learning lessons and moving with our soul group and ascending our consciousness to return to the all. Whether that returning to the all is that getting off the karmic wheel, is it just that we're done with earth school? Again, we don't know, but there's something here. Okay, so I wanted to add to this. I've mentioned this a little bit, but like, does our fear in past life death leave scars that can be worked through? So there is this past life regressionist psychologist, Dr. Roger Wolger, that he talks about, he has regressed thousands and thousands of people, countless souls, and they all found that they carried scars, physical, mental, spiritual, into this life from what happened at the moment of death. So whatever they were holding, the fear, the processing, that little girl dying in that fire. There's another example in the book of a boy. Oh, he was murdered, and he like literally remembered this happened in India. He remembered his murderers' faces, names, everything. He like basically by the age of, I think 3, was like telling his parents that this whole murder had happened to him. And the minute, they went through all of this, like the trauma was healed, the fears were healed, all these things moved through. So I wanted to like read out a little quote from something from this doctor, that, okay, astrologers have always said that we are born with a psychic template that will emerge over the years, which definitely is true, right? This is certainly confirmed by regression work, which shows that we are born with all kinds of psychic residue from previous history of our culture, if not mankind. Just as we may have physical deformities built into our genes, we have psychic deformities and issues built into our psychic structure. In Hindu and Buddhist terminology, these formations that come in at birth are already being rehearsed before birth. Okay, so it's like we're just like are we in a new scene? Are we in a new play, right? Are we actors just going through a new play? And they're called samskara, or karmic residue of previous life. So when I found this many years later, I was like, okay, like I'm on to something here, right? The samskara comes up again, that this residue is here. These psychic impressions carry with them the emotional weight of certain memories and associations, as well as fragments of personalities and attitudes, feelings and obsessions, and so on. So when we look at the birth chart, it's like we can see all the residue, or, the life path, and we'll talk about that, of what you came here to do. What's your purpose? And not even purpose in a way of like you're trying to accomplish something, but you're trying to learn something and expand through something. So Dr. Roger Wolger regressed like countless souls, and with all of them, he found that, whether they believed in past lives or not, during this regression, it healed a fear, a phobia, or a physical ailment, right? No matter what it was, if it was like the one child had eczema, and after he did his regression, he had found that he was shot in the wrist, and that spot of eczema is in the exact location of that, like, pain point from a past life. It was gone after the regression, never came back. So is there something to be said about like when we actually locate this information, spontaneous healing can occur, which is kind of crazy to think about, right? Okay, so there's like life lessons we can find in the birth chart, and then there's karmic pain points, and they're so intermingled. But if you study with me in the future, or if you've already studied with me, you'll know those life path moments are like your sun, your rising, your midheaven, your north node, and several more. And then those karmic pain points, or karmic points we're working through: Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, South Node, the IC, or the Imam Coeli. And that's just to name a few. I could go on for 100 years on the karmic points of like what we're working through. But we can see through our chart, okay, where am I heading? What residue is sort of like coloring my view, and what needs to be liberated? So even when we go deeper into this, it's like you can have your life path moments being in conversation with your karmic points. And those karmic, is it leaving, a residue that might be holding you back from your life path? Or is it actually helping you and assisting you on going deeper into your life path, right? Question mark. Everything's a question mark and how we use it. So, okay. Let's talk about growth over punishment. I feel like I see over and over and over and over through time, and you guys probably see this too, the repeated like doom stories. Just like humans love doom stories. It's the end of the world. It's the end of days. It's the end of times. Like, you know what I mean? There's always some sort of story of like punishment for deeds, punishment for sins. And I truly want to get us past the idea of punishment. I mean, be a good person, live in alignment with morals and natural law and all these things. But like the idea that we came here to punish ourselves, I really want to talk about. So, okay, growth. So the signature you chose to incarnate with, down to the first breath you took. Okay. So that minute that you took that first breath, it seems to illuminate the types of struggles and peace you chose to have in this incarnation. And that's a hard pill to swallow, especially when there is a really difficult incarnation, or, when children leave this earth really young, that's really hard to swallow. That maybe it's a choice, that maybe those lessons were chosen. And this type of struggle is like, it really is shown in the birth chart, right? Based on the path you walk, your soul signature, and the transits you experience. So when I look, I can see, why someone is the way they are, and then why they chose to have the transits they chose, because it was actually going to support the evolution of their soul. As hard as that can be sometimes when someone shows 87 Pluto transits, right? And it just never ends. That could be a really difficult life, but there is something that soul wants out of those Plutonian transits, right? They want to work with that energy. And so this helps us release the idea that we're victims, or that we're being punished for something, right? It's like, what experiences did your soul want to go through in this life? And what are you avoiding, right? Like, what are you avoiding? Now, maybe your avoidance is part of the process. I don't know, but we want to question, like, am I avoiding my growth process by fearing the big stuff I chose to incarnate to process? So leaving behind punishment, I want you to invite you into seeing that, like, what if all your struggles are not punishments or like payments for your wrongdoings, but instead they're the process of transmutation that you needed to liberate yourself? Okay. Like, what if all the shit that you've been through was actually the process of transmutation that you were seeking here on earth? So I hear this a lot, and I'm sure you guys have heard people say this. Maybe you've said it yourself. I probably have in the past, but people are like, I must have done something horrible in a past life to deserve this, right? Like, I must have done something terrible to deserve this. Or is it that this is just part of the big soul lesson you were intending to go through, and hard shit wakes us up, right? We don't change until something intense happens. You don't start caring about your health until your health is on decline. That's just how it is here. You don't start changing your life until you are so sick of your job that you want to throw yourself off of a building, right? Nobody changes until something so intense boils up within them that change has to happen. There's no other choice. So is it that you did something horrible in a past life, or do you just need a big ass catalyst to help you with your next soul lesson, right? This is like really what we can discover when we dive into all this work. So one of these, my favorite quotes, I have no idea who said this. I Googled it. I tried. I do not know where I heard this, where I read this. No idea, guys, but it was said to me and I heard it somewhere. So, the quote is, "Do not pity the beggar, for he may have been a Maharaja in another life, and he is learning to humble himself." And I sit with this all the time. So this is a really great example of the energy of Leo, and Leo karmic placements, like my South Node, where those souls are learning to humble themselves in this life, learning humility. Okay. And for a Leo soul who has lived many lives of being that Maharaja or being someone, great, recognized, special, approved of, all these things, learning humility is quite hard. Okay. So a Leo placement, karmic, South Node, Moon, Pluto, I don't know, any of these placements could come into this life and choose to humble themselves so hard that they're actually the person, sitting out in the blazing heat, begging for money. And should we pity them, or should we allow them to do the karmic work they're trying to do, even if that's a hard life? I mean, we can be loving, helpful, all those good things, but we never pity because we all chose our soul path. And so it's actually taking away someone's free will if we try to pity them, change them, all these things. So we can relate this even back into, the people you love and all the things you want to change about them, because that's what we do here, is we want to fix everybody, right? And make them the best version of themselves. But one really hard pill to swallow is that they incarnated to experience what they experience. And so by you trying to solve their problems, you're actually taking away their soul experience. And that's not an easy one. That's really not an easy one, but I want to leave that with you guys. Okay. So this should say consciousness, mess that up, guys. There'll always be typos when you learn from me, because I am a Gemini Mars and I move too fast, guys. So, okay. Things I want to discuss of again, more ideas. So the more we raise our consciousness, and I don't mean to perfection, ever. We're human. Okay. But the more we attempt to raise our consciousness to be as clear as we can, as connected as we can, the more we purify our bodies to our best ability, the more we listen to the signals of the body, the mind, the spirit, the more we know ourselves, the more we become our higher selves. Okay. The more we become our higher selves, the more peace we live in, the more joy we live in, the more we're able to move through our lessons with ease. And the more we're able to do that, the more we're able to clean up the karmic residue, to learn the lessons we incarnated to learn, to process the information we chose to learn. So hopefully the next life doesn't have to have as intense lessons, because you're actually learning them. You're listening, you're paying attention. So we have this opportunity to raise our consciousness. And even within our raising our consciousness, life is still going to rock us, because that's what your soul came in to do. And I always make a joke about, I don't know if you guys watched Friends, but there's a scene where Phoebe jokes that Joey is like a new soul. She's like, "You're brand new, baby." She said something like, "You're brand new." And the idea that, maybe a brand new soul, I don't even know if there are brand new souls, but brand new soul might have an easier life, right? Because there's less big stuff to work through. The lessons aren't as big. The lessons aren't as grand. And if that's the case, then okay, that life might be a little bit easier. But the more we raise our consciousness and the more that we're able to listen to our higher selves, connect to our higher selves, alchemize to our higher selves, the more beautiful life can get. And really, I think we just came here to learn and enjoy being here on Earth. Okay, so if the birth chart is a map of the soul, can we use it to liberate from our karmic scars? Okay. So by using our birth chart, we can understand, like, why did you come here? Okay. Karmic astrology will help you understand two things, many more than two things, but two things for sure. Why you came here, what was your purpose? Okay. What was your goal? And what are you trying to sort out? What karmic residue are you trying to sort out? And by knowing that, you can bring more peace into your life, more ease into your life, because you will start to live in alignment with who you are. That means accepting all your shit, accepting all of your fears, accepting yourself as you are, and there's liberation there. So when you dive into this stuff, you find more ease, you find more peace, you move through intense moments of loss, grief, pain, anger, fear, anxiety, depression, all these things, you move through them with greater ease because you now are not fighting that energy. You're seeing it as a teacher, right? There's a poem by Rumi, one of my favorite poems, and it's called The Guest House. And he talks about, meeting every emotion at the door with grace and with ease, because everything that comes into your life is a lesson for you to grow. And so if that's the case, then meet everything as like, okay, that's interesting. Even when it hurts, it's like, okay, that sucks. That's awful. Interesting. What are you showing me? How can I grow through this? Why did I want this soul lesson? So the greater you know yourself through your soul blueprint, which is your birth chart, the more you understand that you are a unique being and you are meant to experience Earth in a way that only you can experience it. You're the only one that gets to experience it the way you experience it. And that also means that we can't fix anyone. We can't heal anyone. I mean, we can be a catalyst for healing, but we don't actually physically heal other people. They heal themselves. We can't bring anyone with us that doesn't want to go with us, because your experience is uniquely yours. Okay. And this is your karmic signature. It's your unique soul blueprint. So when you know why you came here, what your karmic residue is, the scars, the pain points, liberation is behind that. You understand who you are, what you felt. And then we can go deeper into like, okay, now we start to go into regression work or the Akashic records or, beyond just the birth chart and try to find the root. Okay. Try to find the root. So with reincarnation, we believe that, okay, hold on. Even before we go into that, let's talk about the root for a second. We're going to talk about the root in the end, but there is a root to everything in your life. Okay. This is very Cancerian, Emo Coeli, ancestry, the tree. Okay. So with the tree, if you were a tree, everything you feel, fear, love, experience, all of your cycles, all of the things you keep repeating, they have a root. The root is, subconscious. And in the subconscious is all your past lives, is all the stuff from your childhood, is, the collective conscious, it's all in there in the subconscious programming. So we want to locate the root. So if we can heal the root, pull the root, weed the root, whatever it needs to be done, by knowing what are those karmic scars, there is healing there. There is true healing there. So we need to be able to locate them through astrology, past life regressions, sitting, meditating, feeling, speaking to the universe, raising your consciousness, clearing your body, purifying your body, eating good food. All right. So adding to this, that one of my teachers talked about this recently, and it really sat beautifully with me. So I want to leave this with you guys as like a golden nugget. And she talked about we talk about reincarnation all the time and how it's the idea that we were born into this life, right? And that we had past lives. But what about now? Because every single day you are being reincarnated. Time is just a construct. There, like I mentioned, there may be many dimensions of you experiencing everything right now. There's a dimension of you experiencing this right now, sitting here, listening to me. And then there is, possibly a dimension of you doing all those clip-offs of when you made choices. So is it possible that when we heal one dimension, one past life, one current life, like, does it ripple through? Okay, now we come back to cause and effect. Does healing a past life through a remembrance, a regression, heal this life? Seems to. And can it heal these split dimensions of you, higher self, all these things? And if there's a higher self, like this light body of you, then are you not already whole? Okay, so these are just like things to ponder. So if we're reborn every single day, we go to sleep every night and we die. Okay, we subconsciously, we go into the subconscious, honestly, that's what we do. And if each morning you are restored and you reincarnate every single day, means every day is a life-death process. And every day you have a chance to heal, liberate, and change all realities through the work you choose to do and how you choose to do it. So I hope you find some things during this week that help you get there, that help you start seeing the little seeds, okay? So if we can spontaneously heal through remembering past lives, can we possibly question if everything's actually happening all at once? This is something I just want to throw out there as just like a wrench in everything to leave in your mind of is everything possibly happening all at once? And so we actually have the ability to heal everything all at once because it's all happening. These are just quantum theory things that we just don't know. But what I do know is through thousands and thousands and thousands of past life regressions in study, we do heal mind, body, soul through these regressions, through remembrances, through going through these processes. And what I know through my work, through the Karmic Astrology readings, is that I can see you and your true soul blueprint in a way, that you've seen, and through that, there's so much liberation because you start to know you're not crazy. You are you. You're exactly how you felt your whole life. It's right there. Okay. So I really want you guys to set some intentions for the summit. So today is kind of like an opening the can of the worms, and you're going to start just thinking about a million things, and you're going to get off this call and have so many questions that are almost unanswerable. That's kind of the whole point. But I want you to set some intentions. So you guys are going to journal or just write down some things after this call, during this call. I'll send these little notes out for you guys. Okay. But I want you to write down any explained fears you have from your childhood. I want you to write down any unexplained, sorry, it's just like unexplained. I will fix that for you guys. Unexplained fears you may, explained. Yeah. Explained fears you may have developed through your life. So these are the ones where you're like, I have a root. I understand that this happened when I was 8 and I'm afraid of this because, okay. And unexplainable. So I developed this weird fear around my throat when I was 25. Unexplainable. There was no reason for it. It was this really intense, just terror. I could not put a finger on it. It makes sense now in past life regressions, but it came out of nowhere. Okay. So write down anything like that where you're all of a sudden I was just afraid of water, out of nowhere, just terrified. Okay. Write those things down. Write down your biggest struggle in life so far. The one where you're I just can't get around this one, because we've all got at least one where you're it's just that hurdle. I just can't get over it. And I want you to write down any repeated themes that you felt that you are stuck in a cycle where you're I just keep spinning my wheels on this. I just keep ending back at the same spot. Write it all down. Okay. In I don't know, a note, a journal. And I want you to take it with you over the next 4 days and just see what you find in the other talks, because those talks are going to open different doors, and they might open a door around something you wrote down. Okay. They might not, they might. I just want you to have them there. And I want you to set this intention. Okay. You are going to write down the root of an emotion, a fear, or a problem that you want to uncover in the next 4 days during the summit. Just something, anything that comes to mind that you're let's see where we go here. And I don't want you to have any control in your mind of how you're going to get there. Just want you to see what you find. You're going to write it down. and you can keep it with you, okay, over the next 4 days. And you are just going to come back to it, after the summit, during the summit, when it reflects, when it comes through, what is being presented to you. Okay. So in closing, I will say that the doors for the waitlist are open for the next It's Karmic certification. So just know that you're being invited deeper into this work. If you love what I'm doing, if you love my work, those doors are open, and the waitlist is officially just like waiting for you guys to join. So what I want to do now is open up. We have about 10 minutes for questions. Does anyone have any questions that came through around anything we said today? Thoughts, anything that came up? Throw it in the chat now, and I will do my best. As I said, all I know is I know nothing, but I will do my best to answer any questions that are coming through around this knowledge, and knowing that you guys are going to get to go on a journey each day into a different piece of this puzzle. And you're going to find these little links. Okay. Each day you're going to find a different piece, then a different piece, and they might all come together at the end. They might not, they might take you down, several different alleyways. But knowing that, do you guys have any questions that are coming up before, you go into your next day tomorrow with Jess? And that's all about the nodal axis. Okay. Can you explain more about what kind of effect the different planets, Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, the South Node, have on karmic lives? So if you want the answers to that, you are going to have to join me in It's Karmic and study all those things with me, because they're such big topics that I actually would have to do an hour chat on each of them, which is what we do in It's Karmic, because there's such big conversations. But I will say that each of those has a karmic implication as to what your soul experienced, fears, processes. Pluto, particularly, a lot of fear. Then Uranus, is going to bring up a lot of, that inner revolution in you. The South Node is really where you're going to find old masteries, really just like old karmic signatures that you've been living over and over and over and over again. But those topics are so vast that I will invite you, if you want to study this with me, join me in It's Karmic, because I'll teach you everything I know. Okay. All right. Is gender a karmic thing? I was supposed to be a girl when I was a kid. Okay. I don't know. Although what I've studied, I have so many theories on gender. Okay. So what I'll say about gender is, what I've studied is, it says we flip-flop life to life, and we pop into different genders based on like what we want to experience. But that's as far as I understand through the studies, is like, there's no finite, like you're just like always a girl, or you're always like, it seems to flip-flop. Now, there are also karmic theories around what's in the 12th house. Sometimes when Mars is in the 12th house, it can be indicative of lives past of being a masculine energy. When Venus is in the 12th house, it can be indicative of lives of being a feminine energy, but there's so much more to that. What I do notice with my people is souls who have a lot of masculine energy in their chart, or, came from lives of being in a heavily masculine energy, feel more comfortable there. And there may be a reason that you incarnated into a feminine energy, right? And that you're learning something in that feminine energy that doesn't feel natural because of those because of the karmic residue, because of the natural state of karma, that your, physical body doesn't match the feeling of the karmic remembrance. So that's what I've just studied so far and watched, through my people so far. And I don't have 100% answer, but that is literally what I've noticed. So it's something definitely to ponder on and feel into, and possibly even something like a past life regression could reveal for you. The restrictions were very noticeable as a girl. Yeah. Okay. Restrictions. It's like, that's like a great question. Even like I'm thinking of energies the minute you say restrictions. So there's so many questions that could unveil that, but yeah, not 100% sure, but that's what I've studied so far. All right. Any other questions that are coming up for you guys? Any other things before, you go into your next sessions and have something else revealed? How does Lilith energy look through the masculine lens? Okay, versus the feminine. I feel like it's discussed more with women embodying this energy. Okay, yeah. So Lilith in herself, it's a long class as well. But I will just say the masculine side of Lilith are what I typically call one aspect is like the Lilith man. They are very, supportive of the Lilith woman. They want to cultivate balanced relationships with women and allow women to be in their wild, to cultivate their wild, to not restrict or play out those tendencies. Now, it could also go the other way in the sense of a man, that has a difficult aspected Lilith could be looking to learn how to liberate women or to liberate his divine feminine, right? Because there is feminine, masculine in all of us. So he could feel more restricted in his feminine, or that area in his life could have been shrunk. There's still going to be sexuality stuff that can be smushed within the males, right? And so he might be trying to heal and liberate that too. So we want to kind of look at those areas with Lilith and the masculine to see how free he feels and is to be himself. Okay. Yeah. How do you see if you have more masculine or feminine energy in the birth chart? Again, that's a long class. But each sign, has a feminine or a masculine association. Each house has a feminine or a masculine association. Each planet has a feminine or a masculine association. So you have to start to, put the puzzle pieces together to see how heavy a chart is in one or the other. And most are quite balanced, but you will see some that are just heavily masculine energies. All right. Great questions, guys. Sorry, most of them are like a full masterclass. That's always how it works though, right? Once you get a taste, you want the whole buffet. So, okay. I'm going to leave you guys with this. I'm going to leave you to ponder. When I send out the replay, I will send out the questions I want you guys to write down. Take them, ponder on them, just put them somewhere and see what you find over the next 4 days. Tomorrow, you guys are going to be meeting with Jess. She is amazing. She's going to talk all about the nodal axis. We even have Tarika here in our session today. She's going to be with you on Thursday. And this girl's going to blow your freaking minds. Each session is going to expand you beyond words. So make sure you come. If you can't catch the live, catch the replay. I will post them for you, but you'll have, I'm going to give you guys 2 weeks to watch them. Okay. So take your time, but don't take too much time. All right. Thank you guys so much for your energy, your love. I will be connecting with you all week. Bye, my loves.